What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 5 of the What a Wonderful Life podcast. I'm excited to have been able to be joined by Angus Crookshank, one of my friends. He played hockey at University of New Hampshire and is now a prospect for the Ottawa Senators.
Martin near circle. Pass intercepted by Crookshank. He breaks it. He shoots. He scores! Staying calm. Although nice job by Kelleher. Keeps it in, plays it in front for Crookshank. He scores!
Originally from Canada, we talked everything from moving to the U.S. to athletics from when he was younger to now hopefully the pro level, as well as everything that comes with mental health and being a college athlete, competitive athlete from a young age. And I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Reminder, we still have a clearance sale going on for everything we have ever made that we have left in our inventory to get ready for the next collection. So take a look at that if you guys have a chance. And without further ado, here's episode 5. Welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of the What a Wonderful Life podcast. I'm super excited. We have our first other athlete guest besides myself on the podcast here, Angus Crookshank. He played hockey at University of New Hampshire, a prospect for the Senators, living up in Canada right now, and really excited to have him. So want to introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Max. I appreciate you having me on. So I'm Angus Crookshank. Grew up in North Vancouver, BC. Kind of played minor hockey growing up in through the Lower Mainland there. Made my way out to the East Coast to go to UNH, and then I was fortunate enough to sign with the Ottawa Senators at the end of my junior year, which was a dream come true, but still lots of work to be done. Is what I'm thinking. So we'll see how it goes.
I bet. So first question, just because people who are watching this have probably never heard of you before, where did the name Angus Crookshank come from? Because it's probably one of the coolest. I feel like it's just like a hockey name.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put it past my dad to just create some sort of hockey name. If you know my dad at all, he just loves the game. But my family's very Scottish. I come from a very, very Scottish background, and essentially, if you heard the name Angus Crookshank in Scotland, probably multiple heads would turn. Angus is a family name. We're pretty rooted in our family history. We got like this crazy book that has like all the Crookshank signatures dating back to like the 1600s. It's pretty wild, but obviously it's a pretty unique name. I got ribbed about it growing up for sure. Like, oh, your parents like burgers, or the AC/DC fans, or something like that. So I mean, I'm kind of used to it at this point, but I've kind of grown to love it. It's separates you, makes you different. I love it. So
yeah, I feel like it's probably like a hockey announcer's dream to just be able to like call out Angus Crookshank.
Yeah, no, I was talking to the commentator at UNH, Mike Murphy, and he was like, I don't know what it is about saying your name, but it's just like incredibly pleasing.
That's so funny. I'm sure you got to say it a lot there. What was it like growing up in Canada and playing like hockey in Canada? Because obviously it's probably like big. I'm assuming it's the biggest sport in Canada. I've heard lacrosse is from some people, but I assume hockey is.
Yeah, it's what like basketball, football, baseball is to Americans. Like it's really a religion in Canada, so it's pretty cool. Like everyone is so into it. I mean, it's good and bad. It brings out a lot of kind of the ugliness in our society. Because I mean, geez, like I remember, I didn't really realize it until I was a referee. I did referees like just for like as a part-time job, just to make some money in high school. But how kind of toxic the parents are, it's absolutely insane. Like the kids are 8, 9 years old, and you slip up once as a ref. Being a referee is a hard job already as is. Obviously, mistakes are going to happen. You mess up once, and it's like it's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and it's the biggest blown call in the history of the game. Like the amount of parents I had to throw out of games is downright sickening, and I think it honestly takes away the fun for kids. Like you don't want to look up in the stands and you see your mom and your dad screaming and throwing stuff on the ice because just because of a missed call or something's not going right. But take all that negativity aside, it's such a good game, and honestly, it really kind of molded me into who I am. I was very fortunate. My dad was my coach until I was about 14 years old.
Oh, that's awesome.
A lot of my kind of life lessons obviously were taught like at the house and that sort of stuff, but a lot of kind of the important things about being a part of the team, being a good teammate, and not just being a good teammate, being a good person in general, really kind of stems from my team atmospheres growing up. And I think if you ask really any hockey player in Canada, being around the rink is kind of shapes who they become as a person.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that. Because I feel like having your dad as a coach, for some people it's so like hit or miss. Like it's either it's either like an amazing experience, or like I had been on teams where the dad's the coach and there's a player, and it turns into one of those situations where it's like it's just toxic for the entire team.
Oh, for sure. Like the dad only plays their kid. Yeah. No, my dad was very cognizant of that, almost to a fault. So like it was like a prime example of this. So this one team, like we were like 8 years old, and everyone, that was kind of the age group when like wearing like the captain C on your jersey and like the little A for alternate captain kind of starts rolling around, and everyone's like, oh, I want the captain and that sort of stuff. So my dad would rotate the captains every 2 weeks. I was the only player that did not get that, which I still hold my dad against to this day. But my dad was very cognizant of that, which looking back on, I respected a ton, because that's the last thing you really want to give off, no matter if your kid's the worst player on the team or if your kid's the best player on the team, which is pretty cool. But also it was nice because I was able to, that essential tough love he was giving me at the rink kind of allowed me to, I guess, kind of start my journey on mental toughness and being able to kind of deal with criticism, and that whether it's constructive criticism or if he barks at you, you got to deal with it somehow.
Exactly.
Everyone's got to deal with it. So I respect a ton, and I'm very thankful for how my dad kind of coached me growing up. It was really an ideal situation.
Yeah, I'm sure it made you think almost like, and not in a bad way, you had to prove yourself even a little more, just because it gives a reason for like, it gives it one more reason for people to be like, you're only playing because you're dad. So like having to work a little bit harder to make sure that like you were playing.
No one thinks so.
Playing because of your skill set. I'm sure that being instilled at you at a young age just translated like across your whole career, and it obviously worked. You're now you're signing the Senators.
So far, I'm not there yet, but I don't know. I guess so far.
Oh,
but, yeah. No, it was pretty. I was pretty fortunate in that regard.
So, what kind of it was like the path? Like, were you always? I guess it kind of builds off. Like, were you always like good at hockey? Like, obviously like with recruiting it happened. I don't exactly know how recruiting works for hockey, because I know there's like you play juniors, then you go to college. Like a bunch of my friends who played hockey at New Hampton, like after we graduated, did like 2 years of juniors, and then they went to college. Is it the same thing if you're from Canada?
So I'll just give you the full lowdown. Okay, so I mean, growing up, I was born into hockey. My dad played college hockey at the University of Minnesota Duluth, so it was kind of one of those things. Like, I mean, if I have a son, I'm going to end up doing the same thing. Like when they're kind of 2-3 years old, you got to put them in skates and see if they kind of catch on. And I mean, when I was 2 years old, I loved it. Like I'd walk around with my hockey helmet on and my like no shirt and just a diaper on, like to give you context. Like it was pretty ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I mean, I was fortunate growing up. I guess decently naturally gifted at the game. So obviously when you're young, there's no real like off-season training and all that sort of stuff. You just be a kid and play a million other sports and just live your life. I played baseball, soccer, football, rugby, all that sort of stuff growing up. But yeah, no, and then kind of I was a good player just kind of relying on my natural skill set, and up until probably bantam age, which is 14 or so years old. And at that point, like, kids had started training, and I had never really thought of it. I mean, I would go up to my cottage and eat whatever I want and just be a kid. Until, I mean, I had this group of buddies that I've been buddies with since I was like pretty much like 8 years old, and we trained together all the way through. We still train together to this day in the summers, but bantam tryouts rolled around, and I had been fortunate enough not to ever get cut in my life. And I'd been dealing with some other stuff like leading up to that, like kind of with school and bullying and that sort of stuff. So I wasn't exactly the most confident kid, but I just kind of, my escape was the game. And we went into tryouts. I didn't make that team, and all my buddies did. So I was pretty much left on my own on this other team, while the rest of my buddies were on the AAA team essentially. And they were on a completely different schedule. So like I never saw them, I was pretty much a hermit for an entire year. Like, didn't really have, obviously I still talked to them and that sort of stuff, but it wasn't quite the same because we were playing on the same team. And that was kind of the point where like, okay, like I got to dial it in here. Like, clearly I'm not, my time's run out on my natural skill, I guess. I have to really kind of start to put in some work. And that's honestly like kind of when my game took a bit of a dive. Like, I wasn't a great player when I was 13 to 15, 16. Like, I wasn't drafted in the WHL draft. I mean, I was a 5'2", 130-pound kid. Like, I wasn't a man child, so to speak. And obviously didn't have that great of a numbers. I made the team the following year, but I still wasn't that great of a player. I needed more time to work. I then played for we call them hockey academies. So like you go to high school halfway through the day, and then the rest of the day you play hockey. So you get your credits that you need to graduate, and then you just go play and practice with your team and play games. Then I kind of started to slowly turn a corner at BWC Hockey Academy, which is in Burnaby. It's a suburb of Vancouver. And I take a lot of, I'm very grateful for that experience because, one, I had to deal with a whole lot of stuff when it came to bullying. Like, I went there and the hockey was great. I really developed as a player. It opened a lot of doors for me, but I was also bullied religiously. Like I literally did not speak to anyone on the team. I wasn't allowed to go sit at the table with the guys at lunch.
What was like the reasoning for it?
They just thought I was weird. Like that was, I asked one of them like a few years later, like, hey, what was your guys' deal? Like, you were just weird, man. Like, no one really wanted to hang out with you.
Jeez,
I was like, what, in what sense was I weird? Well, you were just super quiet. You like would only talk about hockey and just spend so much time at the rink. Like, we all wanted, like, we're all 15, we're wanting to talk to girls and drink and that sort of stuff. And I mean, not all those guys were like that. There's a couple buddies of mine that from that team, but like the majority of the guys, probably like 80% of the guys were like that towards me. Which I just thought, I mean, I'm not going to change who I am to appeal to some social culture. I don't know. I'm just going to be me and do me. Was what I thought of it at the time. And then the following year, I played on the older team, which everything went really well. But the same sort of thing with the team because those guys all follow the same. Like they went from the younger team that we were on last year to the older team, and then I was able to get a scholarship to UNH that year, and I committed there because I mean there was just the right situation for me. I'd talked to some other schools and kind of weighed out those options, but it was just the right fit to me to go to UNH in respect to my hockey career.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I mean, it's not all that matters, but like it's a big thing. Obviously, getting your degree is huge, but the way my brain was thinking, I was thinking as any kid would, like after college.
Like NHL.
And then from there, I committed to the Langley Rivermen and the BCHL. So that in junior hockey essentially. So there's two levels of juniors in Canada. So there's the WHL, which is that draft that I was skipped over when I was younger, where you get paid like semi-professional essentially. So you can't be an NCAA athlete and play in that league. And then there's junior A. So that's for all the kids that are, which it's technically a level down, but it's the only league where kids can go to college from. So it's not really a step down. It's just like, it's like a 1A, 1B sort of thing, if that makes any sort of sense. So yeah, I played 2 years there, had a unbelievable experience there, lived away from home for the first time, which was pretty new. Really, I think back to that a lot. I mean, I was able to mature a lot when I was kind of 16, 17, 18 years old there. It was, I had to actually focus on developing social skills, like being able to kind of take care of myself and cook and all those sort of things versus my parents having to do everything for you, which was nice. And I mean, once I had 2 good years there, I was lucky enough to be drafted by Ottawa my last year in junior before I went into my freshman year of college, which was a dream come true for sure. Like, it was a pretty special moment. Then from there, I went to college, and kind of, honestly, I guess it was the best 3 years of my life, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, my buddies there are like the guys that are going to be the best men at my wedding. Like, I still talk to them to this day. They're off doing their own thing in pro as well, and we still text, we play video games together, FaceTime all the time, that sort of stuff. Like, we got trips planned for the summer. Like, it's all really, really cool. And I think it prepared me not only from an athletic perspective, because obviously it prepared me a ton to move on to the next level, but also like being able to live on my own. Mm-hmm. And you get a bit of that in college, but obviously you still have roommates. I mean, my second and third year, I had 5 roommates. Like, our house was just packed, and it was an absolute blast for sure. But like, you kind of develop even more like your habits and like what you need on any given day to be able to perform, not only physically, but also mentally and socially, all those sort of aspects, which I think kind of has allowed me to kind of become who I am today, which I'm thankful for. I mean, everything that's kind of happened in my past has brought me here, and good or bad, I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, definitely. So,
sorry, I know that was long.
Oh, you're good. So, couple things. So, because I feel like I relate a ton. Like, I think I entered high school at like 5'1". I maybe weighed 110 pounds soaking wet. Like, not big at all. I played defense up until 8th grade, and then I was just kind of like in my head, I was like, yeah, so there's no way I'm gonna make the JV team in high school playing defense. Like, I wasn't big, I wasn't strong, I wasn't fast. There's not much I could do there. We didn't have a goalie, so I was like, I don't know, whatever screw was loose in my head, I was like, let me hop in goal. Maybe I can make this happen. Obviously, it started to work out, but like, I get what you're saying, especially because I just started playing the position, so I was like learning it really late. Like, the first couple years of high school, when like my friends would make teams, I was always the one who, like, I wouldn't be making them, or like, even like, because back then, before the recruiting rules, like, I had friends committing to Ohio State, like Harvard, schools like that, when before we had our driver's license. I was like, I haven't even hit puberty yet. Like
what?
These
guys are committing. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I definitely get that feeling, and it sucks because it's like when your friends are like doing so well, you want to be like right there with them.
It's such a fine line being obviously you're so pumped for them, but you're like, fuck, like, I want that to be me so bad. And you have so many doubts in your head. Oh, it's not going to happen. All this sort of stuff. Like, it's hard to be able to deal with that.
Yeah. And I think kind of like you said, the silver lining was it gave me like my like chip on my shoulder that like I took throughout the rest of my career. Like, and then even as like I kept going through like high school lacrosse and got better, I remember it was like, oh, like, you're actually like getting pretty good. Like, you can definitely like, you probably can play like D3 lacrosse, but you're not big enough to play Division I. And then I decided to reclass, and that's to go to New Hampton for a postgraduate year. But it was still like, you're not big enough, blah, 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 blah. You're not good enough yet. And then once like a couple D1 coaches were interested in me, I had coaches who would be like, are you sure you want to go to a Division I school where you're going to be a 4th string goalie for 4 years and just you're going to be in shooting drills? Like, would you rather go to a D3 or D2 school where you can like potentially get playing time? But I was just in my head, I was like, I'm doing this, like, I'm making it happen. And then like I found Fairfield, and I had got to have that experience of moving away from home before going to college as well when I went to New Hampshire. I was still living with family, but it was definitely different, and I think that was the best thing I could have done for myself, especially like the amount of kids who, when I got to my freshman year of college, just like couldn't handle it. Like they couldn't handle being on alone for the first time. Like they couldn't balance everything, like school, lacrosse, stuff like that, because I don't know whatever it was for them, but not having someone to look over their shoulder. But I was so thankful to have had that experience before I got to college, because then it made it be able to like handle college just way easier for me. And then I was able to focus on stuff like lacrosse, which is, right when I got to school, it's all I cared about.
Oh, for sure. You become so much more proactive. Okay, like I need to do this. Like you don't, like even when I came to school, like you don't have your parents telling you, okay, you got to do your schoolwork now. Like it's on you. So like being able to develop those habits are so crucial to. I honestly found college easier than high school in that sense. Mm-hmm. Like I was able to just kind of, like I knew what I needed to do. I could do it on my own time when I had the time, obviously, and then I can devote the rest of my time to the game, which is for you and I, obviously, that's at the time, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And that was like the same thing for me. Like I was able to just, like I was either there an hour before practice at 6 a.m, getting shot on by my coach, or I was staying an hour after practice. And then it was just being a goalie. I like broke my hand a million times. So it was treatment, sticking my hand in ice buckets, all that kind of stuff. But that was just, I was able to just focus on that. Like, I mean, honestly, I probably should have prioritized school a little more, but in the moment, you're just like, I'm an athlete. I want to do this. And I want to get better.
Well, for sure. Hindsight's 20/20. Like you can't really look back. Obviously, you can regret some things, but like at the end of the day, you're where you are thriving. Like what more could you ask for? Like it's worth it at the end of the day.
Exactly. So once you got to college, like what were some of your biggest struggles, like as an athlete?
Ooh, biggest struggles as an athlete. Freshman year for sure is hard, because that jump from junior to college is a big one. I mean, you're playing guys that are kind of 16 to 19, 20 years old in junior. But then in college, you could be playing some guys that are 26. Mm-hmm. Like, so that, like that big gap, like physically, was a big thing. But I think the biggest thing about college that I benefited from the most is definitely the mental side of things. It was for sure hard. I mean, I had my fair share of struggles on the ice, which led to struggles off the ice, which led to struggles socially. Like it all kind of snowballed together. I kind of went into a bit of a slump at the tail end of my freshman year, and that kind of, obviously I'm thinking about that all the time. So that affected me mentally. Like I'm not being confident and not having that kind of self-motivation. It's more of an anger versus a self-motivation to everything. And then socially, I just kind of went into my turtle shell and just kind of pushed everyone away, which, I mean, that was kind of just what I did before. And I don't know, I never really realized until I was thankful for, I mean, my teammates just said, like, the hell is your issue, man?
Yeah.
Like, you're having a great freshman year. Obviously, it hasn't been going great the last 2.5, 3 weeks, but look at what you've done already. Like, you have it in you. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of working through it, but don't push us away and don't let it affect your social capabilities, your mental capabilities, because obviously it's hard for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, it's hard, but you can't rest your hat. You can't dwell on everything that's happened the past 2.5, 3 weeks and let it ruin all the things that you've created for yourself in the last 5, 6 months. So kind of getting those lessons from the older guys on the team and guys in my class too were incredibly beneficial my freshman year. And then kind of my junior year, like the year before I signed, that was a hard year because I knew going in, I knew Ottawa was wanting to sign me at the end of the year if I had a good year. So I knew that going in, which wasn't great. And leading up to that, I had like that COVID summer essentially wasn't wasn't fun for me. I wasn't really able to see any of my buddies, at least in Canada. Obviously, it was a little more lenient in the States, but everything was so locked down in Canada.
Did you have to go? Did you have to like that, like kind of that March? Because I'm assuming you were at school at like when kind of the world shut down. Did you have to go back? Like, were you just with the borders and stuff? Were you like, I gotta get back to Canada before I can't, kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the air crossing the Canadian border when they said the borders closed.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was a tight turnaround. I mean, we were on a team trip in Florida, and then I had to find a way to scramble home and fly to Canada within 24 hours.
Damn.
So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, like I wasn't able to see anyone, all my buddies. Like obviously I was able to train and stuff like that, but the training was fine. Like I was still able to get all the work and feel ready, but like mentally and emotionally, like I just wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't able to see my buddies. I wasn't able to see my then girlfriend at the time. Like it was all kind of all these things piling on one by one. And then, oh crap, I have potential NHL contract on the table. And like, this is just a lot to process and a lot to deal with. I don't know, like I'm overwhelmed here.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell into, to be honest, like that summer and kind of into a little bit of the fall there, I was in a pretty depressed state. Just like, cause I mean, our year kept getting delayed. So I didn't have that ability to just kind of, it's a good and a bad thing, like being able to kind of push things that maybe aren't going so great in your life and focus on the thing that you love. Mm-hmm. And for me, that being hockey, and our year just kept getting delayed and more, and obviously COVID delays, and just like, come on, like just let it happen for God's sakes. So kind of once it started to roll a little bit, that first little bit I struggled a bit. So then that didn't exactly help with everything. But I had just a very sit down heart to heart with my head coach, and I just blurted everything out. Like wasn't even about hockey, just about everything in life, like school, socially, mm-hmm. about the game, obviously. And it just felt good to have someone there, and it was even more special for it being a coach too. Yeah, and you can speak to it as well. Obviously you can talk to your buddies as much as you want, but like having like a moment, like a heart to heart with your coach, in a sense, it's pretty rewarding, like knowing that you have someone on your side that is your head coach or coach in general. So yeah, kind of once that kind of happened, I was able to start to process things more. I was talking to my psychologist more and more religiously. I mean, I talk to him kind of every 2-3 weeks now, but if things come up, I change that. But and kind of develop strategies to kind of cope with everything. And then from there, obviously everything kind of started to take a turn. Hockey was going really well. Obviously we didn't have the finish to the year that we were wanting, but I had to make the hardest decision of my life and decide whether to go to Ottawa and sign an NHL contract, which has been my dream my entire life, or stay with my best friends for one more year. And honestly, like it came down to, like, I just talked to my buddies in my class, like those, like I mentioned to you earlier, they're my best friends. Mm-hmm. And for them to say, like, no, like this is the right thing for you to do. Like, you're crazy to even consider coming back with us. Like, go sign your NHL contract. Like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. For them to say that, it was incredibly special for me, and I knew I made the right decision right then and there. And it kind of made my decision for me.
That's amazing that you had people, like, obviously that group around you, like you get, no matter what, like, just as an athlete, like obviously your class is like your closest friends, just because that's who you get brought into. That too, for the most part, you end up living with. You know, like my class is my best friends still. Yeah. But it was amazing. Like, two kind of things I wanted to highlight. Amazing that your freshman year, like, you were obviously in a rut, and they were like, yo, like, what the fuck's going on? Like let's fix this. And I was just thinking about kind of my own personal story, and I think I did such a, not that it's a good thing, but I did such a good job of, like, I didn't show anything. I didn't show that I was struggling or in a rut, which is why no one knew. obviously like that's the scariest thing about mental health is it's in your head. It's not like
you have no idea.
Not like you're physically walking around and people are like, you're obviously injured. Anything we can do for you?
Yeah.
And then the fact that you were able to like go to your coach, because I think that's one of the hardest things for athletes is to figure out, especially male athletes, is to talk to their coach. And it's hard especially because like, again, like it's just part of the stigma. Like you don't want to seem weak. You don't want to like give them a reason to be like, oh, like you're going through this. Maybe like because in the game you're like, I want to get through this. I want to keep playing. Like you don't want your coach to be like, I don't trust you on the ice. I don't trust you on the field right now because like you got something else going on. So it's hard to like go and like admit those things to a coach. Something I struggled. Something I didn't do. And looking back, I wish I did. And I'm still close with the two coaches I had my freshman, sophomore year who recruited me there, like when I kind of went through everything. And it's crazy because I can like talk to them now about anything. And like looking back, I'm just like, I don't know why I felt.
So you can shoot the shit with whatever you want with them now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's like, ooh, it's the coach. Like, I don't know if I can say anything. But to your point exactly, like you don't want them to second guess you.
Yeah, and exactly. And like, I was trying to work so hard to just like get out of all my injuries and get my spot back. I was like, I just need to work, and it turned into me hating fucking playing lacrosse every day, and it just wasn't the solution. So that's amazing. And then obviously having to make that decision whether to stay or leave, and I feel like most like if they ever like think of any of my boys, like I feel like most people are gonna be like, you fucking crazy, go to the league. Like this is all of our dreams kind of thing. Like go.
Like from a personal perspective, like, geez, like I don't want these guys to hate me or resent me for, like, I don't want them to think that I'm giving up on them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, obviously, as much as you have to look after yourself, like, not even so much what they think of you, but like they're your buddies, and you want them to stay your buddies. Like, you don't want to lose that friendship, so you don't want to do anything to jeopardize that.
And like as a team, like. Not in like a way of like, oh, like you're the best player or anything, but like you're part of the team, like they need you, like on that team kind of thing. Which like, I have it didn't happen with me, but I have friends who like ended up stepping away from lacrosse or whatever it may be due to various reasons, and they had friends who held it against them, like you would have been a starter this year, now we don't have you, kind of thing. And it like it ruined like relationships. I remember like when I was making my decision, like when I came home from winter break, I texted like my two kind of best friends on the team, and I was just like, dude, like this is what's going on. I don't think I'm gonna be playing this spring. Like I want to just focus. Like I just lost a love for. I want to focus on. I wanted to focus on winter wolf life. In my head, that's like all I wanted to do. I was just so excited about it. And I learned having that fall of my senior year when like everything was shut down with COVID and not having to go to practice every day and play lacrosse and be able to like put time towards everything else I wanted to do was like what made me think like, okay, like I can do something a lot more with this if I had the time. So that's when I texted them, and all of them were, obviously they're bummed. They're like, we don't not want you on the team, but like if this is what's best for you, it's what's best for you. I'm like, we got you 100%. So obviously one is going to the NHL and one is stopping playing, but it's like similar message.
No, for sure, it's the exact same message. Like you need your buddies to be your number one fans, but also the guys that'll get on your ass immediately at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if anyone who knows me knows I don't exactly hide my emotions very well. Like, I guess from a mental health standpoint, I guess that's a good thing. Like, it's pretty obvious when I'm down and pretty obvious when I'm up. So it was nice to have them to be able to kind of recognize that. But yeah, I mean, to your point earlier, like when I was younger, like I was like going through all like the stuff with like I was pretty like all the stuff with bullying. Like, I mean, I was so anxious and like I hated hockey.
Yeah.
hated it. Like, I hated going to the rink because I knew I wasn't going to talk to a single person. Obviously, yeah, on the ice is great, but like, that's only an hour of your day.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I was like, that was kind of my first taste of not really having someone there for you, and kind of there's that judgment there of like, and you have like, you go through. I wouldn't say I've dealt with depression in the past. I wouldn't say it was depression, but it was borderline. Like, it was depressive thoughts and all that sort of stuff. Like, it made me want to not do anything. Like, just want to like lay down and just like do that fuck all.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I like having, I mean, for anyone, like making sure, obviously it was tough because I was on a team, like making sure you have those support systems around you. I mean, it was huge for me when I went through, I mean, I've gone through depression twice. Like, this year, obviously I've had my issues just with injuries and that sort of stuff, but also like during kind of my freshman year and even my junior year, like having the right support systems to properly have someone to talk to and deal with, not even so much like listen to what your issues are, just to be able to have someone to talk to. Doesn't have to be about anything, just shooting the shit, talk about what you did on the weekend, like what girl you're talking to, like what show you're watching, whatever it may be. Like, it's so important. I find it, at least what kind of dragged me out of that was being able to just talk to people and having that, to your point, like having the buddies that you had. Obviously you didn't really want to do what you wanted to do and play lacrosse anymore. You had other passions, and for them to have that kind of like look at you more than just a teammate, look at you as their legit friend, as a human being. Okay, he doesn't want to do that anymore. Absolutely, we'll support him in whatever the hell he wants to do.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so important for people, and I think it's what a lot of people in today's society lack. And I don't know if you agree with that. I don't know. It's just kind of my 2 cents on it.
I definitely think so, and it's hard because like, you know, like both our experiences, like having like a sport where it's like something very much that like you get friends kind of forced on you a lot, which isn't a bad thing. Like
it's great socially. Like,
like
my best friends are through hockey. Hands down.
Exactly. Like all my best friends I pretty much played lacrosse with at some point. It wasn't up until like after I stepped away from the team in my senior year when I started diving into more of like the creative stuff, where I started making friends just off of that, which was an entirely new experience. That was amazing. But
for sure.
But like having that group with you is just, it's something else, and it's hard to replicate. And I can definitely see how it's probably really hard to just like to do that organically, like to go into a college and not have like 45 best friends thrown at you, whether you like them or not, like as teammates. But to go in and like know no one, like I couldn't imagine if like you being from Canada, or like me from California, like showing up in Connecticut and just everyone knows someone from high school or something. I'm just like,
there's some sort of connection. Like, I mean, all the guys from Mass and New England all knew people at UNH.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I knew one kid, even like with lacrosse, like I knew one kid from Seattle, and that was really it. And then, you know, luckily I got in there, and like I said, you know, you have your teammates thrown at you the first day, whether you like them or not, you love them.
For sure.
So
and you just go from there.
Yeah,
that's all you can do.
You go from there, and like, you know, your relationships with each one vary, but definitely, and I can definitely, you know, I'm a pretty social person, so like meeting people wasn't necessarily hard for me. Like I'm kind of quiet at first if you don't know me, and like if I don't feel comfortable in a situation, like I probably won't really speak or anything like that until I get comfortable. But like I have like my little brother is like, he's pretty introverted, like complete opposite of me. Like we couldn't be more opposites. Like still, he's the funniest fucking kid in the world, like a genius. He's just like doesn't, not that he doesn't like people, but it's like he's just always been a person. He's like very to himself, but like he got to college and like found friends who are similar to him, and like now he's got a great friend group, and it's like dope for him. Like it's so sick, but it's definitely crazy, you know, because those friends are going to be the first people you're going to go to if something's wrong. You know, it's easier. It's a lot of times it's easier.
And they're the first people that if something's great, they'll be the first ones to reach out.
Yeah, especially when you're away from home. Like, it's easier to go to your roommate than your parents, or it's easier to go to your roommate than your coach or anything like that. So,
well, you rely on each other.
Mm-hmm.
They get to you give and you take. Like it's a unique relationship that honestly you can't really develop anywhere else other than college, in my opinion.
Exactly. Like I think so much of like, obviously there's like so many talks now of like, is like going to college even like not if you're playing a sport, playing a sport's a different story, but like if you're going to college, like even worth it. Like you can learn so much like on your own now without paying all the money. But like I don't think you can replicate the college experience.
No, it's not possible. It's the best. I mean, for me it was 3 years, but I mean everyone says the best 4 years of your life, and when you're there and you're done, you're like, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm 22 years old, and I mean I'd like to think I live a pretty great life. But by far through my first 22 years on this earth, like my 3 years of college were my favorite ones, hands down.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so much fun. Like,
oh my God, man. It's the time. It's really just the dream. Like life is so not even so much simple, but just like it is simple, I guess. I don't know how to really phrase that. That's not exactly a poetic statement that I just said, but I don't know. Yeah.
It's like, cause you're in like I don't know, like a bubble is not the right word, but you're in like, you don't have to deal with the real world. Like you're not really worried about like bills.
No, campus is it's an outside entity from everything else.
Yeah. You're in a little city, especially up in Durham. Cause that's just a college town, like kind of a college town.
Great town.
Yeah. I mean,
great town.
UNH is a great time. I've spent a lot of time there.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
No shortage of fun up there.
Yeah. So what are you up to? So what are you up to now? You're obviously left UNH in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I referenced it like briefly, but like so this year I tore my ACL in camp, in training camp this year. So that means my first year essentially is done. So like I haven't been able to play. I just started skating about a month ago. Rehab, like we're ahead of schedule, which is all I could ask for. But I mean, we talked before we started the recording. It's for sure been the hardest year mentally on me, and that just kind of translated to my year in general, just like hardest year in general. I think it's incredibly, at first you're numb almost. You're still in shock, like 2 months in, like, is this seriously still happening? Did this seriously happen? So I've kind of wrapping my head around that, and then realizing, okay, like and in Canada here, we still have like the COVID stuff going on. So like we still couldn't really go out and that sort of stuff. It's good now. I mean, all the restrictions are gone now, but from November through till pretty much March, it was still lockdowns and like masks and limits on seeing people and that sort of stuff. So it's like having to deal with, and I didn't really know anyone here in Ottawa. I knew all the guys in Belleville, which is the minor league team that I joined last year on a ATO. So this is technically my first year under contract this year. So I didn't really know anyone here, and they're all pros that I look up to. So I didn't really talk to them because it's kind of one of those things like you don't speak unless spoken to. Yeah. And like everyone's asking me like, oh, well, how's the knee doing? Meanwhile, it's the same every day. Like there's no real big jumps. Like it just, by the time kind of November, December, January, February rolled around, like I was full blown depressed. Like I didn't have any outlet. I didn't have any friends up here in Ottawa. Couldn't go meet new people. Like if you know me, like I'm a pretty shy person around people I don't exactly know. Around people that I know, I'm the biggest loudmouth. I'll talk out of my ass all day long, just ask them. But like I didn't really have an outlet. Like I would sleep from 1 to 4 every day, do my schoolwork, go to sleep, wake up, do my treatment, not be able to play hockey. Like it was just such a revolving thing. So it really got to the point where I was just so done with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to lay down, and it was like, why the hell am I even living right now? What's going on? And that, like, once I kind of realized, like, why am I even living right now? It's like, okay, like, all right, let's get some help here. Like, it's like, stop putting this off. So I made the effort to, like, I talked to the trainers about it. I talked to my psychologist about it. He's been an absolute godsend for me. Kind of being able to just talk about all these issues. And obviously we're kind of at the tail end now, once kind of early March kind of hit, I was able to start playing hockey again. And as shallow as it is, like, having that thing that's so taken from you for 5 months, it was finally inputted back into your life. It was unbelievable. Like, my serotonin levels, and I just became a hell of a lot happier.
Yeah.
And I started to kind of, the organization, because I was in Ottawa to start my rehab, just because they wanted all the team doctors around me and all that sort of stuff, which was awesome. I got to experience a lot of great things, a lot of things I would never have thought of experiencing, like going to an NHL team dinner, going to an NHL party. It's so crazy.
I couldn't imagine. It sounds so much fun.
It was an absolute blast. I can't exactly say all the stuff that was going on camera, but we'll save that for another day over a pint or something like that. But I was able to kind of spend more time in Belleville because I was skating more and be around those guys, which just made me happier. I was able to get my own space. I wasn't living with the family anymore. I'm cranking out my schoolwork. Like, I'm going to be able to graduate this fall. So everything's starting to kind of turn a corner. I'm a much happier person now. I feel back to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Again, which is nice. It's a refreshing feeling, because I didn't know who I was from pretty much October till a month ago. But this has definitely been the hardest, because I didn't have that group around me that was able to kind of like, hey, like, talk to us, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, I had to kind of figure it out on my own, which, I mean, I'm not one to toot my own horn exactly, but I'm incredibly proud of myself now,
mm-hmm.
of being able to get through this. I mean, it's emotional looking back, like, thinking about all the things like kind of went through and that sort of stuff. And obviously it still sucks. I'm not going to be able to play this year, because, I mean, this is the first year of my professional career.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're wanting to make an impact and show who you are and show your worth to the organization and that sort of stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, I've been fortunate enough, like, I still know where I am within the organization. They've been incredibly supportive of me and kind of what I need to do. And all I can do at the end of the day, I mean, it's what I've been wanting to do since I got hurt, is just get to work, like, work out again. Like, I'm able to just kind of wrap myself back into the game, and I've rediscovered this whole new passion, which I didn't even think was possible. If you ask anyone, I love hockey more than anything in this world.
Yeah.
Almost to a fault.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's, and not even like a bad sense, like, in a, like, oh my God, he's obsessed sort of sense. It's what I love to do, and I'm so incredibly passionate about it. No, your passions for life shouldn't be diminished just because they're maybe a little peculiar, a little weird compared to the average bear.
Yeah, and especially when it's a sport and something like that, where you're so, like, your whole life wrapped in it, so it, like, becomes, like, your passion, what you love. And, you know, whether it's injury or whatever it is, when that's taken away from you, it's so hard. Like,
oh my God, the amount of people that have told me, oh my God, you're, like, why are you so weird? Why are you so wrapped up in hockey? Like, you know, there's more to life than hockey. Like, obviously there is, but, like, if it's what you love to do, why would you limit your time doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, yeah, like, go out and experience things, all that sort of stuff, but, like, you got to stick to who you are at your core. You can't pretend to be someone else. Like, what I want to do in life is play hockey. obviously, like I want to, like after hockey, I have plans and that sort of stuff and other things I'm incredibly passionate in. But right now, in this point in my life, like what I want to be is a hockey player. So whether I could be with anything in your life, like if someone's doubting you and what a wonderful life, like, or calls it weird, like who are they to say that?
Exactly.
Like what are their passions? You can probably say the same thing about their passions. Like you know what I mean? It's such a, I don't get why people would judge someone for what their passions are, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I don't know. I got to the point where I was like, all right, sure, I'm weird. I just kind of went along with it. I played into it, I guess.
Yeah, I love that because I had such a similar experience. Like, I don't think I've like, and I'm just like still working on it. Like, I don't think I got like comfortable with who I was until like the last year and a half maybe. And like I was like always, there's always like you said, like people just make like comments and like they're not even like, they're probably like most of the time they're probably not even like malicious and like intent, but it's just like things that make you like second guess yourself. And like once you start second guessing like yourself and who you are, it's so detrimental. Like I always felt like I had to like act a certain way like around different types of people. Like, well, there was my close friend
100%.
Or like
Right.
people like East Coast kids, even just like an example, like being from California, like I always felt like I had to like do something to fit in. And then like the last like year and couple months when I've just been like, this is like who I am, so I like to do, like it's been amazing and it's made like so many better like connections and relationships with people.
It's liberating, man. Like it's, to your point, like making new connections, like you connect with people that are similar to you. You have the similar passions, and yeah, you might have different ones, but that's how you discover new passions and that sort of stuff. But like, yeah, no, it's such a suffocating thing having to what you said, like having to change who you are for different groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I'm first off, I'm happy that you figured, like you got through that. I mean, it's
Thank you. Yeah.
Good speaking from experience. It's not an easy thing to kind of deal with. I didn't fully realize it until this year. Like it's nice. Like to what I said, it's incredibly liberating.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And definitely just like once you like get to that point where you can just like be out in public or like at a party or something, like act yourself or like, you know, like dress how you want or like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like
it could be like in anything. Like, I mean, I know for some of my buddies, like at least I've been at least kind of shown this culture of professional hockey, and obviously like we're incredibly fortunate to be paid for what we do. I mean, I still haven't wrapped my head fully around that. It's fucking crazy if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like you could not pay me a dime and I'd still be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these guys, and you see like that first party that I went in to go see like what these people wear.
Yeah.
How they dress. I'm like clearly I'm underdressed. I'm wearing like a pair of jeans and like a nice t-shirt, and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, this is a nice outfit. Like I got like a cool pair of shoes on. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, nice, Angus, you're gonna fit right in. Nope. Like everyone's got like Gucci, Balenciaga, like all this sort of designer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I'm wearing my H&M t-shirt, a pair of Gap jeans, and a pair of Vans. But at the same time, like I didn't. It was like, oh crap! Like at the time, I hadn't really realized it yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh crap! Like I'm clearly underdressed here. Like I kind of have to hide now.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that happens again, like I'm just gonna wear the same outfit. I don't really care yet. Maybe you might get an odd chirp, but like, you know, it's water off a duck's back.
I've never heard that saying before. That's pretty funny. But yeah, no, I bet. I couldn't even imagine like.
It doesn't even have to be clothes. I'm just
yeah. No, 100%. Because like I've like had like a similar experience just because like I like clothes. Like I have a fashion brand. Like
I love clothes too.
I don't necessarily dress the same as other people. Like my first night going out freshman year of college, I showed up in overalls. Like I was kind of like a swaggy like Chance the Rapper kind of thing, but everyone was looking at me and they're like no one cared, and it was funny because like the next couple weeks like a bunch of like seniors were like, you're the kid from California who was wearing overalls. I was like, yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that would be me.
And then, like,
that's me.
I had also kids who looked at me and there's like, you're such a goalie. Like, this is like, they're like, we're not surprised this is adding up. But yeah, it's, you know, just being comfortable with like yourself is so hard to do. And like, everyone finds it at different points in their life. Like, even people who seem so confident in them, like, there's a good chance it's to a fault where they're so confident because like of other insecurities or something like that. So
sure, the people that are the most confident in themselves are the people that are generally the most insecure.
Yeah, I found they're either the most insecure or they've already beat their insecurity to a point where they can they're just accepting of it and they're like, nah, like I'm just
they're just themselves.
Yeah,
like there's no, like, even just like talking to them, you can figure it out in like a couple questions,
exactly.
Like which one they are.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's awesome to see people, like even like people I've met through the game who are they're just themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They just be who they are, and I still think I have some work to do on that front. I think it's something that you can always work on.
Definitely.
So it's just one of those things. As long as it's not like you really need to like focus on it. Just as long as you're more cognizant of it and you're self-aware. I think self-awareness is the most important thing, honestly, a person could have.
Exactly, and that's something I found I got from, you know, my whole mental health kind of struggle and battle was, especially because, you know, I didn't do a great job of reaching out to people, so I was trying to force myself to work through stuff on my own until, you know, I did it. But I feel like that has made me so self-aware now, and like I know if I'm not comfortable in a situation, I know if I'm feeling a certain way, or like,
yeah,
like I just like feel like I know myself in that sense like very well now, which is,
and not be ashamed to feel that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're allowed to feel, okay, I don't feel comfortable in this situation. Like, you're like, oh crap, I need to, or if you're being quiet for whatever reason, like there's no rhyme or reason, like you don't have to feel like, oh crap, I need to talk. Like,
exactly.
Like, and that's when it starts to wear on you. Like you're trying to live up to this expectation that you think people have for you. And it's not an enjoyable place to be.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something I definitely struggled with and like started to learn. Like I always feel like depending on like, I guess like where I'm like going out or like the group of people I'm with, like I feel like people expect me to act in certain ways, which like, I don't know if it comes from like, whether it's like people I met when I was like way younger, so they just like know a different version of me. Like, it's one of those things where it's just like hard sometimes, but you get to a point where you're just like, I can just like be comfortable in myself.
Oh, for sure. That's the most important thing, man. Like even if you come back to see your buddies from high school, I mean, I've noticed it with my buddies from high school. Like I'm a completely different person to them than I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like and they fully accept me for who I am now. Like that's the best part, is like having, and if they don't, and so be it, you just cut them from your life. You don't really need to spend time with them anymore.
Yeah. That's such a hard thing to realize, but it's like very powerful when you do. Like people are in and out of your life for reasons. And like,
yeah,
if people are gonna like leave your life because of how you change and grow as a person, then like it's something you can't like hold on to. You can't like give yourself a hard time over it, or like you can't force yourself to be trying to like make them part of your life or like kind of thing. Like
no, because then like trying to make them a part of your life, like it's such a taxing thing on you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've dealt with it with some of my buddies back home. Like I go home and obviously I've changed and they've changed for sure, and maybe it doesn't mix, and I'm like, okay, like fuck it, I still need them to be my friends and that sort of stuff. But like sometimes it just doesn't work. Like I mean, they evolve, you evolve. It's just how life works. And if the two people or the group of guys are happy and you're happy,
mm-hmm.
you can't really fault anyone. It's no one's fault. You're who you are. They're who they are.
Yeah, and like best case scenario, but everyone just accepts it and they're like, all right, let's move on.
Which is it's a hard skill for people to learn, because some people are such. I'm a huge people pleaser, so it's a hard skill for me to kind of fully accept.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten a little better at it, I think, the past kind of few months here. But before I'd appease. From based off of what you said, it seems like you're very similar. You kind of appease people based off of who they are to try to make sure you don't seem like a dick, or you're still buddies with them, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like that's the best way to put it, is like you try to appease others, and like you prioritize them over yourself, which is like, it's not a selfish thing to be like, I need to be myself. Like, if you can't, if you don't want to be part of that, then 100%. Whatever.
And you can be two separate people and still be buddies.
Yeah, exactly. Which is that's a whole nother thing that just, I feel like people have lost.
That's a whole other rabbit hole that we can go down another day.
Yeah. Well, so we're almost at an hour here. What do you said you got back to skating and hockey, being able to play now. What does the next couple months look like for you?
So there's only about 2 weeks left in the season right now, and then playoffs. We're currently battling for a playoff spot, so it's a toss-up whether we'll keep going or if our year will be done in 2 weeks. I hope we keep going. But from there, I think I need to it'd be nice to take some time away. I think I might go on a vacation somewhere warm, sunny, with an open bar.
Yeah.
With some buddies. Just sounds pretty elite to me. Maybe with a couple golf courses nearby.
Oh yeah.
And then from there, it's just right back to work. I thrive when I'm busy. I was actually talking to someone today about whether having a low key day is more relaxing than having a busy day. And they were saying obviously having a relaxed day is way better. I don't know. I find when I'm achieving things and I'm checking things off a checklist that I not an physical list, but within my mind that I feel like I need to do for the day, I find it so much more rewarding, and you've earned that day, and I feel more relaxed by the end of the day than I do just sitting around all day.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know, I like to keep pretty busy during the summer, so I'll be training my ass off. I have a lot to prove in the fall. Mm-hmm. Well aware of that, and I'm going to work like hell to make that a reality.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like you're probably at one of the most exciting parts of your career right now. Trying to, you're at the spot where not you made it to the NHL, but now it's your time to make it into the NHL.
Yeah, it's time to prove it.
Yeah. So, I'm excited to watch. I
appreciate it, man.
Obviously, I grew up in California, so hockey isn't really that big besides professional. And everyone I ever knew who played hockey left and went to boarding schools and stuff. But definitely a Senators fan now. And when I was really little, one of my best friends was a San Jose Sharks fan. So that was my first exposure to hockey, really. But
okay.
But I'm definitely gonna hop on the Senators bandwagon.
Well, I'll see if I can get you a lid one of these days.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'd love that. But thank you so much for your time, man. This was amazing.
Dude, of course. It was awesome chatting you about it. It's such a topic that I think a lot of people can. Obviously, it's getting more attention now, but it's something that it needs to be more than just a one day a year sort of thing, or one of the 12 months of the year sort of thing. It needs to be at some point, at least, a mental check-in every single day. I like to check in mentally. Okay, how are you feeling today? Not actually speaking to myself like that, because that would be completely bizarre and completely weird.
Yeah.
But just you know what I mean? Just checking in with yourself and checking in with others. Doesn't need to be every single day, because in reality, not a lot's going to change day to day. But just checking in every couple of days with your buddy, hey, how you doing? How's everything going? You don't even need to bring up mental health or anything like that. Just texting people, talking to people.
Yeah, and that's the most powerful thing, because you never know if that just that text
sparks them.
That text could come at the most crucial time in someone's life, potentially. So, yeah. So, I mean, thank you so much for your time again. You know, it's been great. Cool to hear your story, hear all the things you've accomplished and worked through. So, I'm excited,
I appreciate
excited
it,
to see you get
so
back out there.
On.
Of course. And so, thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in to episode 5. I can't wait to do the next one.